Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Doing What Matters podcast. My name is Teresa McCloy, and we're going to have a great conversation today. This is going to be a very practical conversation. So many times on the podcast, we're talking about kind of that transformational place where people decide, or, I share with you from my own story how I've decided to do life differently. But today I'm going to talk about that practical aspect of doing. In my personality, I love to discover practical ways to do the work that I do better. And so today I want to share with you my 3 current top tools that I use in the work that I do all the time. This is one of the biggest questions that I get asked is, what are the tools that you use? How do you run your business effectively and efficiently? Last week on the podcast, I talked about launching our book last year and just the growth that the business has had and, all the things that we have done and just the opportunities that came. And a lot of that happens because of systems and processes and ways that we operate to make it happen well. Now, are we perfect at it? Oh, by no means, no. We are real people doing real life, but there are some tools that really help me personally operate more effectively and efficiently. And I'm always looking for new tools. So I'm going to share 2 or 3 of those with you today. It's going to be a pretty short episode, but I just want to get you thinking and get you looking. And if this is a place that you're at in your business, this might be a really helpful episode. So the first one I want to talk about is something that's brand new for me. And it's actually a digital paper tool called Remarkable. And you've probably seen it advertised in a lot of different places, but I am trying it out right now. And I'm really, really enjoying it. And here's why. I have a tendency when I am talking to someone on a Zoom call or talking to them on the phone or whatever, to write down notes on a piece of paper. I really remember things better. And I think, science proves that if you write it instead of type it, you remember things better. And sometimes I'm doodling and I'm making notes or I'm using our mind map tool or whatever. But what would happen is I would just have all this kind of loose paper then laying around. So the Remarkable tool, and it is maybe a little bit pricey, a little bit of a luxury item. But for me, just to have all of that written down in one place on a digital piece of paper has really been working well. I've been using it for just a couple of weeks now, and I'm really, really liking it so far. Now, one drawback is the Remarkable tool doesn't really sync up with anything else. You can send your notes as a PDF. I got the one that has the little keyboard with it, so I can also type on it. But I'm just loving how it feels and how it writes, but I don't have all of this paper everywhere. And I'm also using it for doing what I call task lists. So here in the process, you've heard us talk about, I talk a lot about tasks are different than actionable steps. So these are where all those task things kind of go for me. And then I don't feel like I'm quite as scattered with pieces of paper everywhere. And I can organize them somewhat in the Remarkable into folders and different things. So the reason I wanted to start with that one, though, is because it's like getting my brain onto paper, digital paper, but onto paper. Because what I'm doing then is taking anything that goes there and putting it into the task management software that we use, which is Nosby or Nosby, depending on how you pronounce it. And that is still to this day my favorite task management tool. Now, there's all kinds of project management, task management tools out there. But this one to me is just easy to understand, whether you're using it for yourself as a solo person to capture your projects and the steps to those projects, or capturing thoughts in it, or things that you need to do. So throughout the day, I'm using my digital paper, the Remarkable, and then my closing out time, my prep block time at the end of my day, I'm taking those notes and I'm putting them into task management on Nosby. And then I can delete that digital piece of paper if I want to. And that just is feeling like a good system to me right now, in taking the clutter that can get in my brain, getting it onto digital paper, and then looking at it at the end of the day and saying, do I still need this information? Is this something that needs to go for 3 or 4 days out or 3 weeks from now that I need to remember? Then I can put it into my digital software to remind me, and I'm not looking for those pieces of paper. So those two tools together is what I'm using right now. And I think we always kind of fight that in our mind of, should I write things down in a planner? And then should I put them digitally? Should I use paper? What should I do? So that's my current process. I'm loving it right now. And it's the best of both worlds for me. Very technology driven in two types of software, but it's really working well together for me right now. I tried using the iPad. I didn't really like the way it wrote with a pen. And so that's where the Remarkable tool came in. So the other tool that I wanted to talk about as far as organization, and this is a little bit old school as well, but I wanted to talk about the way we use two types of tools, and that is Google Drive and Dropbox. And these are storage tools for information. And the clarity that we have come to, and that I really like, and people ask me this all the time, where do you store information? Google Drive for myself and for my team is for living, breathing documents, things that we're constantly adding to, things that we're updating. It's where we keep things like standard operating procedures. It's where we keep things that are financial records or spreadsheets or things that are in process, so to speak, that we can all share together or that I can share with someone else, goes in Google Drive. And that's just kind of if it's still living and breathing, it's where I keep contracts for my team. So I have a business drive and I have a shared drive. And that's just the way my brain thinks around Google. And it is such a great product because it's available to anyone that has a Gmail address. Now, I use a shared drive, so we share it out with our team, and that makes it available to everyone, which is something that is a little bit more complicated to explain. But Google Drive is just a great place to store living, breathing things. Then what we do with Dropbox, it is where we archive things or where things go that are never going to be changed again. For example, storage of videos, storage of things that we want to share with our certified coaches, where they can go and get the access to those things. Dropbox is the place where we put documents or videos or audios or anything that is not ever going to be changed. Marketing material, photos, bios, all those kinds of things are organized by folders in the Dropbox. So that is archivable storage. Google is the living, breathing, day-to-day operation side of things. So we do use both, and that's how we distinguish between the two. We find that Dropbox makes it very easy to share the Dropbox link, to give it to a client, to give it to our certified coaches, to give it to people. It's very easy to give them a Dropbox link of content that's never going to change and that's going to be available to them, whereas Google Drive is more the living, breathing. So I hope that's helpful for thinking about how do you store stuff and where do you put it. And those are our two tools for that. So we've talked about internal, starting with your own self, with how you write things down, whether you use a planner, a digital tool, whatever, then moving it into some type of task management, project management type software. Our preferred is Nosby. And then how are you going to store things? So that's all internal operations for you as a business owner. External is a whole different story. The community, the people that you're connected to. Now, here at the process, we have certified coaches, we have people that follow us, we have community that we want to build through the tools that we have, whether that be One Life Map tools or the process itself or other topics that we want to talk about. So this is all external. And the tool that we are loving to do that is a new platform that came out about a year or so, maybe a couple years now, called Circle. And Circle is an amazing platform that we are using. It has a very easy community feel to it. It can feel a lot like Facebook in many ways, but it is just a beautiful tool that we are loving as a place to form and build community. In fact, in the next few weeks, we'll be announcing some things that we have going on inside of Circle. So stay tuned to the podcast, and even how we're moving more and more of our community connection over to that platform. But if you are a community builder, either for-profit or nonprofit, you may want to check out the Circle platform. It's the only one of the tools that I've talked about today that we do have an affiliate link with that we'll have inside the show notes. But everything else that we talked about, actually, I have one for Nosby too. I take that back. And so we'll put those in the show notes if any of those tools are something that might interest you. But I encourage you to look at the Circle platform. If you are looking to build courses, if you are looking to have community around any work that you're doing, I know that many people that listen to the podcast are business owners or coaches or work in some capacity with others, and they want to build community around the topic. I can't recommend Circle highly enough. Their training is great, and the platform itself is really, really user-friendly, as well as you can have some places where people can pay you for certain content, and they can get to that content, but not other content, and those sorts of things. And they continue to add great features to it each and every month. So those are some of the tools that we're functioning with here in the fall of 2023. I am a little bit of a techie nerd, a little bit of a geek, so to speak. I've always loved new things, shiny new objects, as we say, and especially in the tech space. And so, but yet you hear some really old school things like Nosby and Google Drive and Dropbox as well. But I'm always up for trying out new things like the Remarkable tool. So you say, how does this fit into the podcast, right? How does this fit into doing what matters? Well, I am deeply about the being side of things and finding our purpose, our meaning, living from that place of rest, not rush. But I also know that sometimes one of the biggest roadblocks people can run into is the how. I have a message that I feel called to share with the world. How do I do it? How do I create systems and processes and ways of not getting bogged down in the details, working in the business instead of on the business, as we like to say? So these are some of my recommendations that you can check out. Remarkable, Nosby, Google Drive, Dropbox, how you set those up. And then the fun stuff, the community building part of the tool of Circle. So check out those links in the show notes. These are some of the things that we actually do as we help our certified coaches grow their businesses, is we talk about things like this. We talk about how to market your business, how to structure your business or your ministry, and those types of things. So also, if you're interested in learning more about this, go to our website, check out the Get Certified tab on our website. We have a new cohort that will be training a new group of people this fall to use our content in the being part of things, and then helping them to go out and do the doing of sharing the message that God has called them to share. So check that out if you're interested. And thank you for letting me geek out just a little bit with you to help you do the things that matter and to live from a place of rest, not rush. Remember that every ordinary day has an extraordinary moment. You just have to look for them. And we'll be back next week with more here at the Doing What Matters podcast. Have a great week, everyone.